I rise today in strong opposition to the Congressional Review Act resolution put forward by the Democrats, in which we will soon be voting. The Democrats' resolution would eliminate President Trump's affordable, clean energy rule. The President's rule is common sense policy. It protects our air, and it allows our economy to grow at the same time. The Affordable Clean Energy Rule will replace the Obama administration's so-called Clean Power Plan. The punishing plan would have damaged our economy, and what I have here is a map to go over some of that. Look, it would have closed power plants, it would have put energy workers on unemployment, it would have reduced the reliability of our electricity, it would have increased energy bills for American families and for small businesses. The results would have been dramatic increases in electricity bills all across the country. The plan would have devastated communities, certainly in my home state, in Wyoming, raising electricity bills by 42% in the state of Wyoming. But they would have gone up in every state. Wyoming is America's leading producer of coal. It supports thousands of good-paying jobs all across the state. Across Wyoming, the punishing power plan would have put hard-working men and women out of work. The rule was a massive roadblock for states. Instead of working collaboratively with state governments, it put the EPA in the driver's seat of setting a national energy policy. States would be told what energy sources were allowed within their borders and how to regulate them. Worst of all, the so-called Clean Power Plan would have barely reduced carbon emissions. It would have crippled our economy and done very little, if anything, to help the environment. President Obama's plan wasn't just bad policy, it was illegal. 27 states, including Wyoming, filed a lawsuit to stop the regulation. The Supreme Court ruled that Obama's EPA went way beyond its legal authority. The court blocked the overreaching rule. Now, President Trump has put forward a common-sense replacement to protect America's air. The Affordable Clean Energy Rule follows the law, and it's good news for the people of Wyoming and the rest of the country. It recognizes that the EPA is not supposed to pick winners and losers. Under the new rule, power plants can make reasonable changes like improving efficiency. The rule promotes the use of new clean technologies, cleaner technologies, to generate electricity. So energy companies can modernize their power plants without having to shut them down completely. The rule also respects the role of states under the Clean Air Act. It gets rid of Washington knows best, which is an approach that we deal with, a top-down approach of unelected, unaccountable, heavy-handed bureaucrats. States understand how to protect the air that their citizens breathe. They know it's an important thing to do. The end result will be cleaner air and more affordable energy for America's households. Now, Senate Democrats want to play politics once again and uproot the Affordable Clean Energy Rule. Democrats want to resurrect a rule that the Supreme Court took unprecedented action to stop. That would be bad for our environment, bad for our economy, and bad for our country. Under the Congressional Review Act, if Congress repeals the Affordable Clean Energy Rule, the administration couldn't replace it with a similar rule. The administration put forward a common-sense rule to protect our air quality, and now Democrats want to kill it. That's the proposal on the floor today. Democrats have become hostages to the far-left agenda, Madam President, even when it doesn't make any sense. It's not good policy, and look, we've seen this before. The Environment and the Public Works Committee, which I chair, recently passed legislation to help reduce the amount of plastic pollution in our oceans. The bipartisan bill follows up on the previous bipartisan Save Our Seas Act that passed and was signed into law last Congress. Instead of supporting the legislation, extreme environmentalists oppose the bill. A bipartisan bill. We got it passed last time. We're going on the next level now. Now the environmentalists, extreme environmentalists, of course, oppose the bill because we're not banning all plastics. I mean, can you imagine something so ridiculous? But that's what they want. Working together in a bipartisan way, even when we're doing things that to me make sense, to others make sense, to bipartisan senators make sense, to the House makes sense, the extreme environmentalists say it's still not enough for them and their extreme measures and approaches. Look, these extreme activists want to do the same thing with our air. Instead of finding common ground, their goal seems to be to shut down our economy, because that's what they're promoting. Democrats in the House of Representatives, regrettably, have followed a similar pattern. House Democrats refuse to work with Republicans to pass common-sense bills to protect our air and address climate change, which we're promoting an effort to actually address it. Apparently, it's not going far enough for the extreme Democrat environmentalists. Bipartisan legislation to support carbon capture technologies, which we passed in this body, sits in the House of Representatives waiting for a vote. The Use It Act, which I introduced along with Senator Whitehouse, who gives speeches each week on climate change on the floor of the Senate. We have worked together. It's passed our committee unanimously. It's passed the Senate unanimously. And yet, with bipartisan overwhelming support in the Senate, it's still being blocked in the House. The bill has bipartisan support in the House as well, but it hasn't gone anywhere. It's being stopped because Democrat leaders in the House refuse to move a common-sense bill that would lower carbon emissions and help address climate change. They're climate alarmists. They want things done drastically, unilaterally, immediately, when we're trying to take common-sense steps in the right direction. Killing common-sense policies like the Affordable Clean Energy Rule and the Use It Act make no sense to me, Madam President. President Trump's rule respects the law and it helps the environment. It is a win-win for our country. Americans deserve clean air. They also deserve clear rules. And the Affordable Clean Energy Rule gives us both. I urge every senator to oppose the resolution that is coming up to the floor. And, Madam President, I yield the floor.